Let's go.
Welcome to All School Gamekeepers, All School Dungeons and Dragons.
That's all editions O through 5. Today, we are having our first guest on our show, Andrew Webb. He has a business called Spyder's Parlor. And Andrew makes dice, from what I understand. Andrew, give us a rundown on your dice.
All right, I do dice accessories. So I start off with resin dice. I'll get somebody to make me a master. It's usually 3D printed. I got a couple here. My slightly normal than standard size. Versus my standard size. Now the D4 is a lot more than standard. And I've also got a D2. I offer coins, so it's got a 1 and a 2 on it. But I'll make a mold out of those using silicone,
Okay.
and then I will do a 2-part polyurethane resin, and I will color it with different things. And we've got dice like these ones here. I make a couple different sizes. I've also got pretty big ones. Yeah.
The one that I was printing for you today that I was trying to was about 2 inches wide.
Wow.
And it said, fuck, where it was supposed to have the 1. But it just had a 20. The 20, I wanted to find one that says, fuck yeah. But couldn't. But I was printing it and it failed because I didn't put enough supports on it. I was trying to have it done before you got here. Then I go down there when he gets to look at it, and there's nothing on the door plate now.
Oh, no.
And not enough supports. So, I don't know if they can see those. We'll get pictures of them all and put them.
Make sure to get some of my favorite sets that I've got too, because some of them I don't have. I gave them to my players if they've been bought.
Man, that's a serious calendar right there.
You don't want to drop this on the floor and step on it, because you step on this, you're going to the hospital. It's gonna go way up in your foot.
Triangular cuts are hard for a surgeon to stitch.
You also don't want to drop it and go looking for it with your hand either, really.
Dude, that is out sharp. You know, could you imagine someone like if these were metal? Okay, they're definitely a cauldron, but you throw them at something, and I mean it's like Chinese throwing triangles. You know, those are sharp. But so you make your own dice using molds and a 3D printed master. What can you put in your dice?
You name it, I can put it in there.
Okay.
So I've done dice with flowers. I'll make sure we get a photo of that because they're dried flowers. I've got one over here that's not completely finished, but it's got a cellophane cat toy in it that has a interesting sparkle in it.
Yes,
Is that one of them toys that you go like this?
Those are the ones that like crinkle. They make a little crunchy sound. They're just little balls that the cats just like bat around for the noise.
You've got the magnetic, teals, the blues. And
Jackie would be like, sorry, Jackie, if you see this, I was just like, I know you like dice.
the magnetic colors it's in.
If I can find a color, I can make it. I've got even these little holographic pigments that if you shine in the light specific ways. I think this one's got my favorite pigment in it. It's kind of like a clearish color, but different angles.
Oh yeah, I can see this.
It's like a greenish yellow dust.
Yeah, but on this angle over here, where there's a little bit of a red and gold.
Yeah, I can see
Really?
that. I can see it right there.
Yeah.
I could, well,
It's kind of hard to do. You have to kind of turn yourself around with the light, so we'll have to
Well, if I
get some
were-
good pictures.
over here, sorry. Okay, I see a little bit of red there.
Yeah, I can't see the red up close like this.
Now, what do you, okay, your resin is clear though, right?
It's like a mostly amber clear.
Okay, so what do you put in it to make your colors?
Alcohol ink is one. I'll do
Okay.
mica powders for other things, or I'll buy like specialty powders like the interference one there that's got the different colors and different
Okay.
angles. And then for my inking for the numbers, I just use paint pens.
Okay, all right.
So different like oil-based ones.
Yeah, because these are like, I'm like, hey, these were originally your amber color, but you've got a green and you've got a violet color here, or a purplish color, huh?
Well, yeah, I say these ones you got to be careful because this blue is white. It's because these are the ones that have a swirl in them because it's a dirty pour effect.
Yeah, but this is ink, right?
Yep, ink
Okay.
pour, and this one there's ink and the mica powder.
Right. These are so cool. Some of them old schooler guys, I think they would really appreciate this because I'm in these old school groups on Facebook, and these guys are always showing pictures of their old dice, and they were all hard edged. I mean, you're talking throwing weapon dice. You know, you're gonna hurt somebody with them. But these are so really nice to wear. The fact that they look a lot like those. I mean, I've seen where a D20, a double 0 through 9, you know, roll twice, goes for about $20 on eBay for an old school one. I'm like, man, I mean, that's a lot of money for an old dice that, you know, I wouldn't want to play with it because it's so old. Because I mean, well, it's not that it won't work, but it's just like, you know, it's kind of like an antique at that point, you know. So, but you can get a whole set of your dice that has the old school shape, but some of a new school feel to the colors and the things that you want in them, like the beholder, the guy that was making the beholders inside the dice. That is so good. You know, I almost backed his Kickstarter a while back, but we were having some financial issues because we were laid off at work. We were working like we worked 2 weeks and we were off for a week. At that time, when I was like, man, the wife would kill me if I spent, you know, this kind of money, so I did. But those are really cool, these dice. So they can find you on Facebook.
Facebook, Etsy, Instagram, all at Spyder's Parlor.
Okay.
I also on Instagram it's Welcome to the Parlor.
Okay.
Send the spider to the phone.
Okay. Because yeah, I know I've contacted you a couple times about doing this show, and you've got this auto reply, but you're pretty good about getting back with me, you know, right away. So I mean, it's not like someone's going to be like waiting 6 hours for your reply.
I actually took the auto reply off because I felt like it was getting annoying when I went on there to read it. Because even when you and I were just messaging back and forth, if I didn't get something.
So yeah, these dice are really cool. I like them. Okay, let's talk price. So if these people are wanting a D20 this size, what are they going to pay?
D20 that size will be about $25.
$25 for one dice, okay. Not bad, I mean, because it's big. And it's a hard edge. I mean, I bought some of the mass-made soft edge ones at cons. You're paying $4 or $5 for them. Or if you get a spin down, I mean, I don't like to spin down, but I don't play Magic, I'm sorry. But I mean, this is a unique dice because they can. You're not stuck with the color that's on the vendor's table. This is, you know, like, I'm thinking of this really cool dice. I tell you about it, and you make it to my specifications.
Which your specifications up to 2 revisions. So
2 revisions, okay. What happens to the failed ones?
So one of 2 things. Trust me, I thought about breaking them up to put them in other dice. That doesn't work.
Okay.
There was one that I had, actually, I think it was this one before I sanded it down. I smacked it with a hammer, and it's still intact. So
screw you. We're not.
Exactly. There was barely a mark on it. I was like, okay, it's not going to do anything. A lot of the failed ones, I'll either do like I'm doing grab bag ideas now.
Okay.
Setting up to where I can have it's going to be a mix and match set, but it's going to be blind. It's going to be sets that either didn't meet the customer's qualifications
Or yours.
or mine, but
Okay.
they still are playable.
Okay. Yeah. Always like that whole idea, my specifications versus yours. The whole grading thing, it's like, I've graded comics, not professionally, but I've been pretty accurate on, you know, and then, you know, you'll talk to somebody, it's like, I bought Amazing Spider-Man from this woman, #1. Oh, she goes, it's in good condition. Your idea of good and my idea are good. No, that's actually poor. There's parts of the cover missing. I had a chunk out of the bottom about this long and about that tall off the bottom.
She meant it's good for reading.
It's good, yeah. You can read it.
I was able to read it, but then I immediately double bagged it, or not double bagged it, but I put like 4 boards in a row and then I put it in there so it wouldn't bend, and you know. But anyway, but so I mean, like you'd be like, oh, I'm not happy with this one, but the customer's like, oh, you know.
Yeah, actually, these ones I wasn't super happy with, and these are actually a commission that I'm still waiting on payment for. But they were asking for a blue with a dark blue swirl. There are some swirls in here, but it came out more teal.
This one is way darker.
Yeah, that one's way darker, and like the D4, there's a lot of like dark swirls on this one side. I didn't necessarily like how teal they turned out, but he was like, these are amazing. I want
Okay.
those still.
Okay.
I'm just waiting to finish payment and ink his, because he had a large D20 that matched.
Okay.
So,
So you use molds. You use molds to make these, and they don't have a whole lot of life in the mold usually.
no, usually about 30 to 40 pulls if I'm lucky, depending
Okay.
on the silicone. The stuff that I use, I can get about 30 to 40 out of it before I have to do a new mold.
How do you make your molds?
So it's actually a 2-part silicone, mix them together, and the one that I use currently, it cures in 4 hours. So I have to wait 4 hours for my molds, and certain styles of molds you have to do a base and a lid. So that'll be an 8-hour process for one mold.
Okay.
Or I can do a sprue type mold where it's got a little, stick sticking out of it on one spot. Those usually are all in one go.
Okay.
But still about 4 to 8 hours for my molds, and then about 1 to 4 hours for my resin.
Do you make up extra molds just to have them? I mean, like, okay, I took an order for this dice, so I got to make a mold for it, and I make my mold. Now I'm done with the master, and I'm working over here with the mold, pouring new ones. Like, okay, well, that's drying. I'm gonna go over here and make another mold just to have it, so I know that'll eventually wear out, and this is a good seller.
I'll do that sometimes. I do that a lot with I do slab molds for full sets.
Okay.
So I'll make a whole set, a mold that'll hold a whole set in it, and then as soon as that's done, I'll make another. Or what I'll do, you can kind of tell these are polished to different levels. One's more matte than the other. I'll start off right away with my masters, getting them to a nice matte, even finish.
Okay.
I'll make a mold out of those, and then I'll make another mold out of the polished ones once those are done.
Okay. Now, would you use that for a mold?
I would not use one that I've already like finished and polished up, just in case my continuing polishing had any sort of imperfection on it. Like this one here,
Okay.
there is a side where the number kind of got a little shallow. I think it's the 6 here.
Okay.
I don't want to make a mold of that because any polishing that I have to do after that to get rid of any flashing or anything might take the number completely off.
Is this the bulk of your business is doing dice?
The bulk of it's doing dice. I also do dice trays. I got
You got a lot of products.
yeah, I got a bunch of stuff over here. I do dice trays of like I've got exotic hardwood ones. This one's Purple Heart. It's not a stain.
Okay.
There is a little bit of like a paste wax on it. It originally looked like that, so it darkened up once it was wet. I've got another one here that's Bolivian rosewood, and it's got leather inside instead of felt.
Okay. I like to smell wood, so I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. That's why I brought all my samples. But I've got things like Lenge, a lot of the same woods that like wormwood uses. I can find pretty easy. So I've got this one that's Lenge.
The prices went up lately for the specialty woods?
Yeah, a little bit. This one's still cheaper than I thought it would be, though. At least for these. These are only about $1 a piece. They were closer to 75 cents though, so it's still a
Okay.
hefty increase. I've actually got black palm here. It's a new one I'm trying to work with.
This is black palm.
Yep.
That is.
It's interesting.
Yes. So this is the wood's natural grain look.
Yeah.
Okay.
That one I think might have like a small bit of like waxiness towards the edges. I think. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's just the wood. I haven't looked into that yet. But then you've got like Paduke, which is an African wood that's got a red tint to it. But
Right.
that one's
Ooh, that one smells.
it's a little spicy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a local store you get these from, or a local store?
I usually go through. I found a supplier online,
Okay.
and I'm actually looking for a new one because I'm trying to think about ways to kind of mill down my own little boards because it's cheaper to do it that
Oh,
way.
so when you order, say, Paduke, how do they sell it to you?
So they have different lengths and sizes. So I look specifically for these 1.5 by 1/4 inch by 9 inch.
Okay.
Because they're the easiest ones to just kind of chop up and make a tray.
Okay.
Because they're already the thickness I want for the walls.
Okay.
But these are sold individually, so I'll have to buy at least 4 for a tray, or I'm doing some longer trays with a divider for a buddy of mine.
And you're doing just long trays?
So it's like a 9 by 12
Okay.
with a divider at the about 2.5, 3 inch mark.
Okay.
So that way he can have his dice over here and then roll them over here.
Okay.
But
That's okay. Is that, you said buddy, is that,
Braxton?
yeah, no.
It's the guy that actually will run the games that I get to play in
Okay.
when I'm not running. I also do some more novelty trays. This one's, for everybody's little goblin friend.
Oh, okay.
Little buttons. My fiance actually came up with the idea for this one. She's like, why don't you do one with buttons? I've got a bunch of buttons lying around. And it's felt lined, and I just thought it was a cute little idea because.
This is like, yeah, it's a cool idea. I mean, I understand when you said goblins
Yeah,
right
'cause-
away. It's funny how the term goblins in role-playing has changed over the years. Because when we were kids and first started getting into D&D, goblins were not cute and funny.
No.
And they weren't like, oh, shiny, No, they were evil and mean, and now here we are in 5th edition that's out there, and goblins are more of, I don't know, more mischievous, not as evil, nowhere near as evil, and people just love to have them in their parties, and they're like Kender
I was
from
going to say,
Dragonlance.
I'd put him as uglier Kender is what I was going to
Yeah.
say.
Now this is screaming.
This one
Your
is
niece,
actually.
your niece Alex.
Yes, my
That's
niece
screaming.
Alex.
That's screaming
Yeah.
her name on it.
Oh,
right
I
there.
gotta have this. And hot glued them on it.
Yeah, those ones were hot glued because
Okay.
that's actually not. I won't lie. That's one of those old like picture frames that has a saying on it. We're like, we don't
Okay.
use this anymore. Let's repurpose it.
I was smelling it just in case it had
I
a
saw.
smell.
Yeah, I said. I saw you smell it. And I was like, nope, there's not gonna be anything.
It's terrible, dude. I got a wood ruler around here, and I'll pick it up occasionally.
You got
I smell it.
You got some blue there for us.
That's Homer's, man. It's not gonna do anything. But I really like dice trays. This is really cool. I mean, this is an idea that I think would really work for you for those goblins. I mean, your fiance has come up with a cool idea. The only problem here is like some of these buttons.
Are a little proud.
Yeah, and what I think would make this even better though is if you put felt on the bottom.
I'm actually attempting to. I got little rubber feet.
Okay.
I'm gonna try raising it up a little bit, just to kind of screw them in.
It takes a lot of work just getting all those buttons.
That took a long time.
Was it like a grab bag somewhere you just pick up random buttons, or you have to pick one out? Pick one out of this bin?
It was a mixture. It was we grabbed a handful and then we laid them down and tried to make them fit. And then if they didn't fit, we'd try another one.
This is it's really cool.
Trying not to lose them.
Especially for younger players. The whole I gotta have a dice tray.
That dice looks comically big.
That sucked. That was a one.
It's a bad roll first time.
Use the other big one.
Another big one. 16.
There you go, there you go.
That's probably a hit. But this is a really cool dice tray. So, if someone wanted to get a dice tray from you, what is the average cost for a 9x9?
Okay, so the 9x9s that I do, because those are all in the more exotic woods, or I can do them in like birch or maple or something.
Okay.
Those usually run anywhere from 55 to about 70, unless you're doing something real crazy with the wood.
Okay.
Like there's a couple woods out there that if you ask me to do it, it's gonna be like 100 because the wood itself is like $5 a pop, $6 a pop for the tiny little.
Okay, and you sand it, and what do you use to seal it?
I have a it's beeswax and tongue oil.
Okay.
I mixed them together into like a paste wax, and I just put that on the end to have it be a little more natural.
Okay. And then you put a felt, or I see there's a leather in the bottom of that one.
And sometimes cork. This one has some cork in it. This is actually my personal tray that I use.
Okay.
Just because it sounds a little nicer when you don't really hear it, especially when you're behind the screen.
Yeah.
You don't always need to have your players perk up at a roll.
What are you doing back there?
Exactly.
Right. Okay, so they're looking at about, what was that again? I'm sorry, I was kind of.
55 to about 70
Okay.
for the average woods. A little bit higher for some of the higher end woods.
Right. So what if they want something domestic though?
So something domestic, I'd probably go closer to about the 50, 55 range because it's
Okay.
still a little bit of work to sand them, to cut them up. Still takes some time. You know?
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't know about wood. It's like, all right, you sand with the grain. Yeah, okay, that should be normal. But if you go one time this way,
Mhm.
minimum 10 this way again to get rid of that scratch that you put there with the
And
sandpaper.
if you come up with anything that's got tool marks from the saw, it's not going to come out a lot of the time if it's this thin, unless you spend hours and hours. Like I've got a couple on this one here.
It's like you could tell with this Baduk that that was either close to the outside ring, or that saw blade was getting very dull.
Actually, that might be one that I was testing a tool out on. So.
Oh,
Yeah, that was one that I was testing my
Okay.
my chamfer plane on.
all right. So I really love this wood.
The black walnut or the black palm.
Yes,
Yeah,
that is.
I'm excited for it.
It's just totally cool. I was in there. I said, give me a bunch of these right now, just for my players. Yeah. Okay, so you're making dice trays.
I make
What else you got?
little dice towers. This one's not super portable, but it's made out of insulation foam and some foam core. But you drop a die in the top if I can make it.
Yeah, sure you do.
That was a 2. It sounds about right for what I just did.
So,
But
now is that painted or? what?
I did better. 9.
yeah, so this is I put a layer of let's see 5.
Damn.
So
I got an issue.
layer of like Mod Podge and some paint
Okay.
to seal it up to make it a little stronger, and then I painted it myself and then did a wash and everything, kind of like you would with a mini.
All right.
Textured it with a ball of aluminum foil.
Now, if you ever picked it up before and you go to grab this, you're figuring you have to use a little force because you think it's going
It's
to be
heavy.
it's going to be
Yeah.
heavy because that's I start with this one is light, really light.
All my dice towers are 3D printed, so and I use a higher infill on them. And I got one dice tower it's about yay tall, and it's just like it is. It looks heavy, and it is heavy. You pick
Right,
it up, and
right.
it's like because it's actually 4 sections plus the top of granulation on it, and it's very heavy. I don't take it places. It stays at the table and.
This one usually stays on the table if I'm at a convention or something.
Okay.
And we can tell you put a lot of work into all these small pieces, cut these and stuff to make it look cool and stuff.
And now what would you be asking for that?
So this one, because of the materials are actually relatively cheap, and to be honest with you, the longest part of the time was cutting out the little pieces.
No two are alike.
No 2 would be alike, because they're all hand done, and you know, if I roll one way or if I roll slightly different pressure, it'll be different textures. These ones would go about 20.
Okay. It's not bad.
I do
And
these.
because about how many hours do you think it took you to make that?
To do this one, it was about 3.5.
3.5?
3.5 straight. I did it over the course of a couple days because.
Does that include painting?
No, that was assembling.
Total construction.
Total
time.
construction was probably about 5 or 6.
Okay.
Because the painting once it gets going, it's a lot of dry brushing. So
You were way under your hours were. I mean, you're not even making minimum wage doing it.
right, yeah, yeah. No, this one's that's why I'm like it's so cheap. To be honest with you, you're never gonna get your time back as an artist.
Right. Like most people that do crafts, whether it be crocheting or making quilts and this kind of stuff. As much time you spend it, you're never gonna get your money's worth out of what you spend into it. But a lot of people just do it for the love of it, and it's a hobby and keeps them busy and
Right.
so that's like I said, you're never gonna get your money out of what you spend into it.
No, not for the time, but. I do those. I also do little potion rollers.
These are the ones I was waiting for.
Oh no, these aren't the ones you were waiting.
No. I mean, I was waiting for you to get to the potion.
No.
rollers. because this is what I
This
love.
is the one you were waiting for.
Oh, crap.
That's a new one.
The purple, yes. I had met Andrew at the Elkhart Comic Con, hosted by All Heroes, and that was what, 2019.
Yep, September 2019.
September 2019. I set up with my friend Nappy. He sells comics, and across from us is these guys. They had a 3D printer and some dice, and I was like, and he had these potions like this. I think I took my other one back to the other house. I did. But I told my friend Rob, man, this dude's got these potions. You gotta come check these out. And I had bought one, and I was like, these are awesome. I love them. And I just thought it was such a cool idea. So tell us a little bit about your potion rollers. The people be like, what are they?
So, you're playing D&D, you get a health potion, you got to roll some dice. I have
Right.
some epoxy in a little potion bottle. You just take it out, you roll your dice, and that wasn't too bad. There's 12 plus, 4d4 plus 4, so 16
Yeah.
points of healing. That's not bad.
No. A little gimmick. Or I don't know. I don't really call it a gimmick. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. It's like,
It's a little prop, really.
yeah,
Probably may add something to someone's game.
A little
just-
more tactile.
and it gets them more immersed in the game, in their character, and how they play. And what's cool about it's like, okay, you buy this one, it only had, okay, they all have 4 dice.
Well, that one's got 4. That one's got, I think, 8, and it should have had 8.
Okay.
So this would be like a 6th level spell.
But like if you just have a
7.
regular potion, which is 2 die for,
Yeah.
you can just take some out,
Yeah.
and so you buy the bigger one, which is going to be a little bit more than the smaller one, I would assume. But you get the dice, and you just
That's nice.
it
Bunch
just
of 4s, yeah.
yeah. That character's not dead anymore.
Wow. Wow. 4 4s, 4 3s, and a 1.
So
That's pretty good.
okay, so now these dice, I know that you don't make these dice. These are ordered. Because man, it would be so much money involved in one of these if you made your own
It'd be
dice.
like $100 a potion if I did it myself.
So, but what are you charging for the those are the same size, and then you've got these two the same size. Okay, what are you charging for the potions?
So individually, I could be a little bit wrong on this. I do have them up on my Etsy store. Individually, I believe they're 15
Okay.
apiece, and then I do have full sets. They kind of change depending on what you need.
Okay.
I do have what I call my apothecary set, which is
Okay.
I think 2 or 3 of each,
Okay.
which is I'm looking about 200 for that one because it's a lot. It's
Yeah, this is
it's
something
like
you would
21 potions.
This is something you would buy for the group.
Yeah, you buy it for like the campaign type deal.
Okay. So everybody's got their own potions in front of them, and I mean, that's just really cool because I see people spend a lot. I mean, I spend a lot of money on D&D. I mean, majority of my stuff though is minis and terrain. I mean, I spent a little bit on dice. I mean, not as much as other people, but it's just like, but when your players can't wait to get to your table, or they're talking to you during the middle of the week about what's going to happen, and it's just like they enjoy it. So if you bring these little cool items to your table, it's like setting another hook in their mouth. It's not that I'm trying to take advantage of my players or hurt them. It's just that I want them to come back. I want them to say, hey man, that dude is a good DM. He knows what his players want. It's like to me, it's like I give my players everything they need but half what they want. I treat them like, not like, I mean, this is the thing is I always use as a saying for kids, half of what they want and all they need. But it's like, okay, I want to Avengers, a +5 Avenger or a +3, and you're like,
You're level 3, kid.
yeah, you're like, you don't need that yet.
There's
But
a level appropriate for that.
yeah. But these are little cool things that make your gaming table more fun for the players, and if the players are having fun, most likely the DM is going to be having fun.
That's my goal, at least.
Yeah.
I'm having fun if everybody else is having fun.
I'm a full-time DM. I hardly ever play, just because I pick apart the other DM's stories so bad. I hate it because I want to have a good time as a player, but I'm like, just I reserve myself to be a DM now, because I'm like, man, that's wrong. You can't do that. No, you know. And I'm sorry, Ethan, because Ethan is a really good DM, but he does a lot of homebrew with his homebrew world, and I have a really hard time with it because as a player, okay, say I'm playing a young human, I'm probably going to be about 18, I'm going to start adventuring, you know, I'm old enough to leave the home. Well, if I grew up in Waterdeep, in the Forgotten Realms, I would know Luskan's to the north, Baldur's Gate is to the south, along the Sword Coast, Cormyr is off to the east. I would know these things, but if he's got a homebrew world and I know nothing about it, I feel really deprived. I feel like, man, my intelligence isn't 13, it's more like 2 here, you know, I don't know anything.
That's why when I try to, like, I do a homebrew world, but I have a map set out for my players. I tell them, you know that this is that far, you know, you gotta think about those things.
I mean, and that's my biggest thing is like, so I use Forgotten Realms almost always in my settings, but I'll do a lot of homebrew stuff, and then I'll throw some stuff in from like a module we did not too long ago. Oh man, where the heck is it? Icewind Dale, Rhyme with Frostmaiden. I'll pull something out of that. I'll pull something out of Storm King's Thunder and tie all this in, but you know, like a little encounter out of it, just so the players can have they're familiar with the realms. Oh, but they always want to do Storm King's Thunder or Baldur's Gate instead of Avernus. And it's like I took a little beat of this, so they'll just to get their feet, not their feet wet, but just quench their thirst a little bit for that module. But yes, I think homebrews are cool and all, but you got to be prepared because your characters need to know about their world to an extent. And like some guys will be like, well, just ask me. I shouldn't have to ask you. This is common knowledge. It's like, I know, I'm living here. Town of there's an house, Cassopolis is that way, Dowajek's that way, Elkart's that way. You know, I know where these places are. And if you play an elf and you're in hundreds of years before you start adventuring, you're gonna know a lot, you know.
Right.
So like the game I'm running, it's based on Luskan, and we're going up into the north into Icewind Dale, not quite there, but the spine of the world, and I'm so familiar with all that, reading all the books and all some of the modules.
Right.
That they got questions, I got answers.
Right.
And if they know anything about the Sword Coast or whatever, then you know they're gonna have a good idea.
But if they don't, then that's fine, because but if your character, you know, your character should know more than you as a player about the world in which you're adventuring. I just think that would be a thing that these homebrew people should think about when they're making a map of a world and their lore to it. You know, they don't need to know the big bad guys level.
They just need to know the locations of everything.
You know, I mean, they may have heard about the big bad. Yeah, we heard of this Zartok guy is a bad guy, you know, or something like that, or you know, he's an evil guy that subjugates his people. But you know, they need to know a little bit about it. And I think that's just something, that's kind of one of the things that I always want to throw out to people doing their home brews. It's not to say I wouldn't adventure in a home brew, but as a player, I'd be like, hey man, I got too damn many questions. So
if you're looking for custom-made products,
I'm sorry.
get in touch with Andrew.
Spyder's Parlor, we're going to put a link to that in the description. I'll link that to your, whatever you want me to link it to, like if your Etsy store or your Facebook store, I mean, whatever, you just tell me the information, we'll take care of it. Okay, now what was this one? I want to get back to this one. I know I've been bugging you for a purple one forever.
Careful, I knocked the lid
Yeah,
off.
that is not cork.
I expected to be tight.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. It's just, it is a little cool thing that's cool. You know, hey, look at that.
Yeah, you said you wanted a purple one, and then
You know.
you thought maybe it's poison.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought. What did I want it to be?
I think you said poison. You said
Poison sounds good, yeah. Poison would be the purple or like a fell color green, but just the fell green just says bad right away.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, ooh, I don't want to drink that one. But purple would be kind of like,
especially shimmering purple. Like if you take the dice out of that.
I mean, you can can have it over there, and it costs, your buddy says, I'm drinking this. You're gonna drink the green one, throw the green one.
Right.
Now you roll your damage, so.
Right. That is really cool. All right, another thing I want to talk about is DM's Guild. I ordered from DM's Guild off of online, and ordered a Monster Manual reprint of the first edition book. This was the DM's, or the Monster Manual was the first book I ever bought in the advanced D&D line, because we were playing basic at the time, but our local dime store had this one, and they had the Player's Handbook. But at that time, they didn't have the DM's Guide. But I bought this one, or the original, and I opened this one. I bought this one. This was like $20 for DM's Guild, but it looks. It's very crisp, clear print. It's a hardbound, and I mean it's got the old school artwork. Can't remember all the artists, but
Using that old style too.
I mean this is just an exact.
Old style, yeah.
This is an exact copy of it with a different cover. $21, something like that, for like $4 shipping. Because I always go with the media mail, and it takes me about 3 days to get it, except for this. Yeah, I've always been good with them. They're like $3, 3 days. But it is a very good book if you want to get into old school stuff. Old school is very unforgiving compared to 5e, but I mean, to get this book, the original, I mean, you're looking at $40 or more easily for a good, a good copy, to where it's all there. It's going to have some stains.
It'll have that little bit of the cover just ripped out.
It might have somebody's name in it.
It's got my Uncle Gary Kayaks.
Yeah, but it's $20, and it's worth it if you want to. I mean, even I've got the old school one over here, or the original, but it's just like, I'm going to use this one instead. I'm not going to pull that one out and use it ever again. And then I got this from them. This one was either $6.50 or $8.50. Saber River Companion for the Basic Expert Companion, Masters, and Mortal Rules. I had the original when I was younger. I don't have it now, but I bought it originally because of the artwork. I love the artwork on the cover, and it's just like just one of the things that I would put on the wall. Just cool artwork. But that was like $6.50 to $8.50. I got it all shipped. And it's not as crisp inside as the Monster Manual, but it's for $8.50. I mean, at the top end, like, you can't beat it. I mean, oh yeah, you can get the PDF for cheap. I mean, for less, but it's like I don't carry my laptop everywhere with me. It's just easier to carry a book sometimes than a laptop or my phone. I just started reading on my phone, and it still bugs the hell out of me. But then Chris Korchak, he has a for $16 a month. That includes shipping now. It's out of New England area somewhere. He sends you a RPG subscription.
Which we hit on in a previous episode.
Yeah, we hit on that in a previous episode, but I did 2 a month now. So I'll spend $32 a month, and it's getting shipped. So my first order arrives for this month, and it's the D20 system, 7 strongholds. The 7 different strongholds in here, descriptions of them, a map, talks about the who's in charge at it, the lesser people underneath them. I mean, it's cool stuff if you're like, man, they're going to come across the keep. Oh, I just pull open this book. Even though it's for the 3rd edition, 3.5, I mean, stuff is easily convertible, but you got a map. Maps are the biggest thing for me. It's like, well, what's it look like? Well, this is what you see. So, but, this retailed for $20.95 US.
Most of these elves, they're looking pretty aggressive. They almost look like they're looking as aggressive as Drow on here.
Right. Well, those are Sun Elves from Warcraft.
Oh, okay. Well, they look mean. They look meaner in this one.
So, but by Atlas Games. So I paid about $5.33 for that, shipped to my door. He gave me another thing in that first order. It's called En Route by the D20 by Atlas, and this is encounters along the road or along a trip. If you're like, oh, they come across something, I can go in here. It's like the Fox's Fraud. There's gives you a little background about the encounter, where you can use it, how to use it, and just in a small map, you know, for the encounter area. But it's just like, I don't know how many encounters were in this. 21 unique encounters. So, $5.33. And then the third thing that I got was the Complete Fighter's Handbook for the second edition. I didn't have it until now. It was one of the books that I'm a Paladin player. You know, Fighter's second on the list, but I didn't have it.
You didn't have it? I thought you
No, I have the cheap. I have a cheap copy.
Cheap version, yeah.
We call it cheap copy of stuff that we
Cheap or
photograph.
cheap.
Or not photograph, but photocopy. I do a lot of photocopy books that I'll bind my own spine and cover for them. For people like, when we first got into it, I was in a group that a lot of these younger people, I mean, 18, 19, 20 years old, they didn't have jobs that paid. And they're like, dude, you gotta get yourself a player's handbook or something. And that's, you know, for 5e, that's like $50 at a game store, 30 on Amazon, and it's like, man, they can't afford it. So we started printing out a PDF of them. Sorry, that's illegal. But I would bind them, put a cover on them, and just give them to you. Here you go, man. Now you can play. You know, I just give them away. We weren't charging them. Just like, hey, we want you to be able to have a good time playing. You know, here you go. But I never had this, the original, so now I have it. Then my second order I got from him this week was the second edition Book of Lairs. I didn't have that. I had the Book of Lairs too, I think it was. I want to say that's second edition. It says Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. It was printed in 94, so it has to be second edition. But it talks about monsters, and it's kind of like the other book here about encounters. Pretty cool thing. You know, but I got 4 books I got 6 books in that one. So in that order, so I mean, like, wow, man, that's like a little over $2 a piece. So I got Book of Lairs, then I got the character recognition. Okay, for 2e. It's most of the pages are used, but not all. But the guy printed very lightly in pencil, so I can erase them and photocopy them if I want to create character record sheets for players.
You might not have realized that they were filled in, and then when he sent it to you.
You know, I mean, that's fine. But then again, it's someone else's character, so I can, and I love finding stuff like that. That we're like, oh,
See what somebody did in another part of the country, you know?
yeah. You're like, well, I thought I was playing bad, or well, I am playing bad compared to this guy, you know. So I got that.
Here's a new NPC.
And another fighter's handbook. So now I got 2 of them.
0, none to 2.
Yeah. Then I got the player's handbook, the 2.5. I call it 2.5. It's from a box set. The player's handbook. It's real small. 32 pages.
Looks like it came from a starter set.
Yeah. That's what it looks like.
These are nowhere near the size of the regular books.
But I got that, and then I got the monster manual from the starter set. 32 pages, and it's got color though. It's got color pictures of certain weapons and magic. Yeah.
Weapons.
So, you know, Sword of Berserking Curse.
Base of Disruption.
Looks like Conan.
Blade.
Looks like Conan's sword from the movie
Oh.
Conan the Barbarian with Arnold Schwarzenegger, not with Jason Momoa.
Like Jason, but I love the original Conan's Blade.
And then the DM's Guide 2.5 from the starter set, and it is 64 pages, and there are some color artwork in it. So, I mean, to me, it was worth the $16 a month to get those items. And I mean, some stuff I've had, some stuff I didn't have, but I'm very happy with
But
it.
you're a collector, so it's good.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take one of the fighters' books and I'll probably resell it when I go to a show again when that happens. Yeah, I don't know. I don't need 3 of everything, but
At least your wife doesn't need to know that.
yeah, as long as she knew what I spent compared to
Yeah.
what I tell her I spent. But anyway, she'll never watch
She won't watch it.
Yeah.
we're too much nerds for
Yeah.
to watch it.
So, do you guys have anything else you want to touch on while we're here tonight? I'm really comfortable with this take sitting here talking about stuff.
So yeah, need your custom stuff, get with Andrew.
Right.
And if you can't get it from Andrew, just visit your local game stores, Griffin,
I mean, if you don't want
Fantasy
to spend
Games, Secret
$50
Doors.
on $50 on a set of dice, man, yeah, you get dice cheaper, but these are exquisite, unique
Handmade,
dice.
Unique.
You know, unique.
No two dice are the same.
That's right. I really like it. Eventually, I will buy a set when get my life back together. Right now, we're taking care of my dad, and so we're not at our house. And here I am in his basement running the show. I feel like Wayne and Garth, you know.
You also want to give a special shout out to the Griffin.
Oh yes, the Griffin bookstore in South Bend. They are celebrating their 45th anniversary this summer. 45 years of being in business. I hope they, well, it'd be nice if they can do another 45. I'd like to see it definitely get to 50. I mean, I've been shopping there since I was old enough to drive. When I got in my car, I'm like looking at the phone book and the Griffin, they got gaming stuff. Let's go check this out. And I fell in love with that place.
Yeah, on and off since about 1990s when I started getting more into gaming. So.
I was going there in I started going there in about 85, 86. It's 86. Just because I was able to drive. I graduated when I was 17. I started my senior year at 16, so, you know. Oh, I love that place. I'm going to shout out to Fantasy Games here in South Bend also. Secret Door in Elkhart. They're my favorite because I live in Elkhart, you know, and you know, they're close by. Rupel's Games, which is in Elkhart also. What's it? Oh, Rivals in Mishawaka.
I visited
They're more
Rivals.
Magic. They're more Magic, right?
Yeah, I went in there about a month ago and my wife's car looked at the gates. I strolled on over and checked them out. Told them that, you know, give them a shout out to the show, and we're hoping to get some D&D stuff in there sometime soon. It's mainly, you know, come together, Magic together. So hopefully sometime down the road you get some D&D stuff in there.
You know, I mean, I like that Wizards is trying to incorporate Magic the Gathering into their D&D world because it just means more sales. But I'm not
Means
going
more
down
people.
that. I'm not going down that Magic road again. You know, I got the Ravnica book because the wife bought it for me. I mean, I was not a book that I would personally go and buy because I'm just not into Magic anymore. I love the Realms, Forgotten Realms. It's where it's at for me. I mean, there are people that just love all of it now. You know, it's not that I don't like playing Magic. I like it. I just
Don't have the money for it. In my case, like,
Exactly.
I played pretty heavily for a little while there, and we were doing way too much money on Magic the Gathering cards.
Yeah, and after 3 editions, you know, can't really use them anymore unless you're doing, you know, friendly basement gaming with your friends. You know.
We got some other formats that are a little more old card friendly now, but
Right.
still, they're a little more friendly than.
I had a guy. He's a guy now. I mean, when we were younger, he was photocopying cards
Oh wow.
and putting them in the sleeves, and I'm just like, all right, man, whatever. If that makes you feel better. You know, you're the one over there, black and white cards, dude. I'm sorry.
Right.
You know, so, but thank you for watching our show today. And I don't know where we're going with the next one. In a couple of weeks, we'll figure it out. If there's anything that you guys want us to talk about or want to hear our opinion on, we'll try to hit on it.
Thank you, Andrew.
Well,
Thanks
we
for
definitely
having
want to
me.
have you back.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Secret behind the scenes is this is the 3rd take because we had technical issues with the first 2. So this is the 3rd time we've had Andrew doing the show. I mean, we did two in one night,
Right.
and then it was about over a month ago or 6 weeks ago that this is the next show. So
yes.
hopefully this show takes no technical issues. So.
Right. Well, thank you, and we will see you next time.